Okay, today we are going to be making Vegan Cheesy Hamburger Helper. Here are all of the ingredients that you're going to need. But I thought I would start by first making the vegan nacho sauce. So for that, it calls for butter beans. I could not find them anywhere in the store, so I'm going with cannellini beans. That's what I'm gonna go with. And I think it'll work out just fine. Get our beans in. Oh, it's tight, okay. I think this is about a 1/4 cup of jalapenos, so we'll call that good. I'd hate for it to be too spicy and then, you know, ruin your weekend. Next up, we're gonna put a cup of some dairy-free milk in that goes. 1/2 cup of nutritional yeast, 1/4 cup of vegan butter. We've got our 2 tablespoons of oat flour, 1/2 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice. Next we have a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. And then we have a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. Dumping that in. And then an 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper and an 1/8 teaspoon of onion powder. So I'm gonna get this blended and then we will get back to the hamburger helper side of things. Let's take a look at this. It smells like it would be cheese. Okay, off to a good start. Let's cook some pasta. 1 cup, 2 cups, 3 cups. Okay, I've added our water to the skillet and now we're just gonna boil these. Says we want to put a little bit of vegan butter, like 2 tablespoons worth, into the skillet, so that looks about right. I don't know what you think is the best vegan butter, but I think that this brand is probably the best. It just tastes good. Okay, so we're gonna melt this. Okay, let's chop our pepper. And I know that there's like a really fancy way to cut these, but I'm not really aware of exactly what that way is. So I'm just gonna... Was that a cool transition? Because I thought it was pretty cool. Wow, how did he learn to chop so fast? So I'm just gonna toss all of this into a bowl. Wow, and just like that, a completely chopped onion. Hope you're paying attention to how I did that because it's a very quick way to do it. Into the bowl. Ooh, I'm crying. Garlic, 4 1/2 teaspoons. And I'm just gonna dump that on top of this pile. So there's our cloves of garlic. This is what it looks like, just in the melted butter. It smells super, super good, but we will let this saute for a little while. All right, and then for vegan crumbles, we just have the Beyond Beef crumbles. I think Beyond makes some really good beef alternatives. I like their brats, I like their burgers. This is just kind of an extension of what they already do really well. So I'm just gonna throw this in and get that cooking so we can toss it into our hamburger helper. There you go. We're gonna put this here so y'all can see. Pasta looks pretty good. Sticking to the pan a little bit. I'm realizing now that I probably used a skillet that was a little too small for the amount of food that's actually going to be in the skillet in about a minute. But I guess, you know, let's just commit and see where it goes. So I'm just gonna dump in this is our sauteed green peppers, garlic, and onions with some butter. Really test the limits of the size of this skillet. Change of plans. We are gonna put this all in our Dutch oven because this skillet is not big enough and I should have known, but that is okay because we are learning today. This is a learning environment. This is not binging with Babish, and you are learning, hopefully, from my mistakes. So now we have that combined. Says you wanna stir in about half of the nacho cheese sauce that we made earlier. I'm just gonna eyeball that for now also. Okay, set that aside. Give that a nice stir to combine. You know, this is actually starting to look like Hamburger Helper. I think this is, ooh. Okay, it's smelling good. It smells nacho cheesy. I think this is gonna be good. We're gonna put this back on the heat. So these look like they are ready to dump in. And it looks like, yep, you add it and cook for another 4 minutes. So put that in our bowl, in our Dutch oven. Give that a good stir. Okay, we are almost done. This is the home stretch. They actually encourage you on the website, when you get into these lower notes, it says use leftover nacho cheese sauce for dipping, burgers, and more. So you'll have leftover nacho cheese sauce, obviously, to make things like nachos with. I don't think that's a bad thing. I'll probably end up dumping like all of ours in though, just for a little extra cheesy flavor maybe. So, because I had not really anticipated not using all of it. I think it'll ramp up the flavor and probably add a little bit more spiciness just to have more of this. So I'm just gonna dump the rest of this in. This was also listed as another optional thing on the recipe, but we really like the Violife Parmesan cheese. So again, it said optional to add this, but we really like it, and I'm sure it's just gonna ramp up how tasty this is. So we're gonna shred a little bit of this on top. There is our Hamburger Helper looking pretty good. Pretty well combined. Definitely has a Hamburger Helper vibe, if anything at all. Anytime I'm at Olive Garden and that guy comes over and he's like, do you want Parmesan? And I say, yes, please. And he says, all right, tell me when. Okay, that's probably enough. So it did say to top with Parmesan, but I'm gonna mix this stuff in because I think we wanna have a well-combined Parmesan flavor. Wow, that's actually looking and smelling so good. Again, I'm very new to the world of cooking. I have been cooking, I'm 30 years old. I've cooked before, but I'm really trying to learn more about making you know, really good vegan meals, very hearty meals, especially in big portions. I think big portions are always nice because I have a job where I have to drive an hour every day to work, and it's hard to, you know, with having to get up earlier just to do the commute, it's nice to have a grab and go option, and I think this would be a really perfect sort of thing for that. All right, there you have it. That is some dairy-free, totally, completely vegan Hamburger Helper. I'm gonna give it a try. Is it as good as they say? Okay. The nacho cheese sauce does have some heat, which I don't hate. I think their recommendation of some salt and pepper is probably a good one. So we'll get some pepper on top. Oh! And some salt. Let's just see if that did anything. Oh yeah. Okay, so I definitely would recommend you want to put some salt on this, especially if you're really trying to achieve that like classic hamburger helper. I feel like that's a pretty high in sodium kind of meal, typically, if you get it out of the box. So if you're really going for an authentic saltiness for it, I think you definitely want to top it with a little bit of that. The Parmesan definitely comes through. The jalapenos that we put in, I can definitely feel some of the heat, but it's not overpowering. It's not like a crazy amount of heat like what you would typically think of when biting into a jalapeno. It's definitely more subdued. I know that we put some cayenne pepper in there, and that is typically something I don't like to cook with because I think it is a lot more spicier than what I really like typically. So this, it's got a really good amount of heat to it. I think it's a safe amount of heat in terms of if you're someone that doesn't like spicy food, I don't think that this would necessarily turn you off. It's just got some good flavor. I would recommend that you guys give this one a try. I think the fact that it makes so much too, if you have a big family or something like that. Yeah, I'm actually happy to be done making this. If it looked like a train wreck, it was most certainly because of my cooking abilities. No problem with the recipe whatsoever. I think the recipe actually was one of the easier ones to make that I've ever made. It was just a matter of me like making sure my kitchen was prepared for this. So we'll see. Maybe in the next one we'll be a little bit more prepared, but I think for a first trial run, that is a pretty convincing hamburger helper, if you ask me. So look at that. Is that your thumbnail? Is that the thumbnail right there? Thanks for watching, guys.